on the computer so that we can have it for later. Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Every Entrepreneur's 3 most common obstacles to more revenue, and most importantly, how to overcome them. That is what we're going to be talking about today. And what we did was that we sat back and really thought about, like, what are the 3 main things? Now, what I want you guys to understand is that these aren't just random obstacles that I've put together, really, and they're not even like things that I've like well thought out of. Give me a second. What they are the common obstacles that I'm seeing every single day from you guys, from the guys I'm having conversations with, from the gals I'm having conversations with, from the guys, from all of the people inside of our coaching community. These are the primary things that are popping up every single day with everybody, and that's why I really wanted to share them here with you guys so that we could start getting the ball rolling on how to actually overcome them. Before we go any further, guys, we do have the 5-day Build Your Fitness Business Challenge available right now. Comment down below challenge if you want me to send you the information to get you guys inside of that challenge right now. It's pretty wild, it's pretty difficult, and it is absolutely a challenge. It is not your everyday internet challenge with a couple videos and a sales pitch. There's no sales pitch, and it is a freaking challenge. It's really hard. But it will work if you actually sit down and do it. I did it myself, and I filmed the challenge while I did it. Really awesome stuff. You should definitely do it. Comment challenge below if that's something that you're interested in. So without further ado, I don't want to take up a ton of your time. I want to get right to the good stuff and teach you guys some stuff, and hopefully, if you have any questions, we can answer them as well. So the first thing that we have, guys, the number one obstacle that probably pops up more than I probably would have ever expected is, how do I get my time back so you can live the life that you actually want to live? The interesting thing about our industry is we are in an industry where we are the service. What we do every single day is the business. So if you're not showing up to your appointments, if you're not creating more appointments and essentially taking more time away from yourself, you're going to make it a lot harder for yourself to you're going to make it a lot harder on yourself to actually grow the business. Because what do we need first and foremost to grow the business? We need time, right? We gotta do sales, we got to do marketing, we got to do podcasts, we got to do lead nurturing and lead gen. There's a lot of things that we have to do, especially as solo entrepreneurs. We're the only person running our business, so our whole business relies on our efforts and our availability from a time perspective. Now, when I first got into the personal training game, I had just left the Lakers, and I had decided, a friend of mine hooked me up with a couple clients in New York City. Now, I don't know necessarily how it works in other markets, but here in New York, there's a lot of people around the city who like hire a personal trainer to come to the gym inside of their building, or come to their own private facility, or however they have it set up. But there's a huge market, a huge population of independent personal trainers that literally travel all over the city to see client after client after client. And that's how they pay their bills. That's how they make their money. And for me, I started doing that as well. And as you guys check this out over here on the right-hand side of your screen, this is a New York City map. Now, I lived more so in this area. I lived on the Jersey side of Manhattan. So what I would do every single morning is I would wake up and I would go see my client up on the Upper East Side. Okay, it takes me about an hour from door to door to get there through all the subways and all that stuff. Okay, then I would go, after that appointment, I would go all the way downtown to another independent gym where I would see somebody else. Then I would go all the way to the Upper West Side where I would see somebody else in his private gym inside of his building. Then I would go to the Plaza. What is that? That's like Madison. Nah, it's not Madison. I forget. It's like 63rd Street and I can't remember, Central Park East. I don't know I forget the name of that. Fifth Avenue, I think it is. I don't know. I'm getting confused on the geography of New York City. But then I'd go there. After that, I'd come all the way down here to Chelsea. Then I'd roll over to the Lower East Side. And then I would finally get on a train and head back home at night. And after a long day, guys, of brutal, crowded subways, I found that like standing on the subway made me far more tense. There's all sorts of craziness that's happening down the subway stations that's hot or it's cold. There's like some sketchy people walking around. There's people playing guitar on the subway. There's people begging for change. Like it's crazy. Sometimes it gets really packed. Sometimes it's a little weird. God, it's a crazy scene. And doing this all day from spot to spot to spot. And then you get stuck in one spot and you'd be stuck underground for a little bit. And you're waiting for the operators or the traffic ahead of you to get going. Like it was just nuts. And I remember getting home every single day and I would just have these huge knots in my like trap area and my neck. And I'd be just so tense. And it was so tough. And I remember thinking like, okay, Sean, if you're going to build a life out of this, if you're going to build a career out of this, what is your future? What is down the road for you? And I was like, well, if I want to make more money, I have to have more clients. And then I need to be doing more of this. And it's going to double this and make it even worse. And there's more subway rides and more tension and more appointments and more and more and more and more. And at some point I just had to pull myself back and say, like, I can't do this anymore. Right. So I had to figure out a way to get my time back, because for me, there was all sorts of other stuff that I wanted to do. I wanted to travel. I wanted to relax. I wanted to go have a drink with my friends on the weekend and not have to sleep and recover for my 25 sessions the next day, right? There was so much more that I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to watch college football. I wanted to have some days to sleep in. I wanted to go out to dinner with my girlfriend. Like I wanted to do all this fun stuff, but I had no time to do it. And my future, if I was going to keep doing that, it was even more of that. So I had to figure out how to make that happen. So the number one obstacle, guys, and it comes up all the time, is how do I get my time back so that I can enjoy this, right? Entrepreneurship is supposed to bring you freedom, right? Look at this the third bullet here. Are you enjoying the freedom that entrepreneurship is supposed to create? And I want you to go through this list, and we'll go through it step by step here. But the first thing that I needed to first figure out was, what was it that I actually wanted, right? And this is something like when we talk about goal setting, when I first get somebody in on our coaching calls, the first thing that I always want them to do is I want them to forecast their own future. Like, what is it that you want to create? And I want you to be a dreamer here, because what so many people struggle to do here is they struggle to tell me exactly what they want, because reality has set in and the real world has set in, and you're no longer giving me what you truly want. You're giving me what you think is realistic. And that's no fun. That's not what we want. That's not what we got into entrepreneurship for. If you want to talk about realistic, go work at a gym, go get a 9-to-5, get your security back, because entrepreneurship is about creating that freedom and being a dreamer. When you were a kid, you wanted to be a pirate or a fireman or an astronaut or an NBA player, like whatever it is that you wanted to be when you were a kid, like that's when you're a dreamer. That's what you really want. Like, what is it that you really want? And once we figure that out, guys, it's not about figuring out what's practical after that. It is setting up a business, setting up a structure that gives you that freedom and allows you to live that life that you always wanted, right? Don't worry about practicality. Don't worry about all this stuff. Don't worry if you don't know necessarily how to accomplish it. Let's just get it out there and understand what it is that you want. And then we can work backwards. We can reverse engineer it and figure out a plan that works for you. That's the game, right? That's entrepreneurship. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, do you have enough time to put into growing the business? If you are going to grow the business, what are the things that you need to do to grow the business? Sales, marketing, social media. How many times do I get on a phone with somebody and they tell me, I need to post more on social media. I need to do more on social media. I need to talk to more people. I need to network better, blah, 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 blah. But I totally get it. When you come home after a long day of traveling all over New York City or doing a bunch of sessions, personal training is great until you've done 1,000 sessions and you can't stand anymore. And you've been lifting weights all day and you've been standing all day and you've been on your game all day for all week, for all month, for all year, for all of your career. It adds up and it becomes really challenging to want to develop the motivation to actually put it into sales and things that is so new to you and so different. And you have to learn this new skill and it's frustrating and it's challenging. And sometimes when you first start, it's not working. All of those things are tough. So what we need to understand is that if we're going to grow the business, not only do we want to grow the business that we want to grow, but we also need to have enough time to grow into it. I was working with a gym owner out on the West Coast. And the very first thing that we did in my 5-month coaching program, the very first thing that we did was take his business, take all of the clients that were coming in throughout his day, and we consolidated them into reasonable slots where some people had to move earlier, some people had to move a little bit later. And all of a sudden we freed up hours of his time in order to put into growth, content creation, lead generation, networking, having all these things. And all of a sudden, we were able to generate a lot more revenue. We were able to create a ton more leads just by giving him his time back. That's how important time is, okay? And then the last one here is I want you to think about what is your ideal schedule and where is your time most profitably spent? For some people, your time is more profitably spent networking or selling or creating content as opposed to training. Whenever you're on the gym floor, you're not actually generating more revenue. You're breaking even. You are not pushing your business forward. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we need to understand, based on the goals of the business, where is your time best spent? What is your ideal schedule? What is the schedule that you want to be working on? What is the schedule that you want to get up every single day and be fired up that you get to do that every single day? Remember, forget practicality, forget all that crap, and think about what it is that you want. And then we need to prioritize and execute, as the Navy SEALs say, and go right down that list. What are the things, what do we need to do that allows us to be most profitable with our time? And that's the first step. That's the number one obstacle that we have to overcome in order to start generating more revenue. Okay. So what I want you all to do right now is we're going to do a 60-second challenge. I'm going to put you on the clock, 60 seconds. And I want you to list out all of the things that you wish you could be doing right now, but your business is getting in the way. All right. If you want to be sailing the 7 seas on a pirate ship, I want that to be on the list. If you want to be down in Disney World with your family or just laying down, taking a nap, I want all of that stuff. This is your opportunity to be a dreamer. This is your opportunity to throw everything by the wayside. And what I really want you to do while you do this is feel how good it would feel. Start feeling what it would feel like to be able to do this list and be in the places that you're putting down and doing the activities that you're doing, because that's the feeling that we're trying to create through this entrepreneurship pathway. Okay, that's what it's about. It's not about practicality. It's not about getting rich. It's about creating a life that you can live on your own terms. 60 seconds, starting now. Be a dreamer, guys. Be a dreamer. I'll just sit here awkwardly on the call for 60 seconds as you do this. Pull out your phone, put it in your notepad. Write it on your notes. If you're watching this on a replay, pause the video. Go find that stuff and do this. Be a dreamer. I'll shut up now. About halfway there, guys. About halfway there. 30 seconds. Get everything out. Don't think about it. Just put it out on paper. Anything that comes to mind, just get it out on paper. Don't curate this list. If it comes to your mind, put it on there. I don't care if it's absolutely ridiculous. Be a dreamer. 15 seconds, guys. 15 seconds. Couple more seconds. All right, guys. And look, if you want to come back to that exercise at some point, by all means, make that a reality. Go ahead and do that. Sorry, I'm just making sure that we are actually rocking and rolling here, which we are. Okay, cool. All right, Gautam, good to see you too, man. We're definitely had a lot of action going on in the background here, but we are back in action as always. Okay. Next one, guys, the second biggest obstacle that we all have to overcome in order to start generating more revenue is this, the secret that nobody is telling you about on how to 10x your business overnight. Now, when I first started my business, I realized that there were 2 things that I needed. I needed money and I needed a way to get it. And the problem is when you first start your business, if you're not, there's a couple ways that you can get money, right? So the first way you could do it is you could get a loan from the bank. You could use your savings. You could get venture capital. You could go on Shark Tank, right? You could ask your mom and dad. You can ask your parents. You can ask your family. You can do all sorts of things. There's a handful of things that you can do to get that money. Now, why do you need the money in the beginning of the business? You need it for advertising. You need it for equipment. You need it for overhead facilities. You need it for marketing, you needed to hire a staff, you need money to grow the business, right? So in the beginning of your company, if you're unwilling to go into debt, if you're unwilling to part with equity in your business, which I certainly don't recommend that you do, because guess what? There's an alternative. You don't have to do it this way, right? So the second thing that we really want to address is your price, okay? And the reason that your pricing is so important is because in the beginning, the first secret that we learned about was we have to figure out a way to get our time back. But if we're going to take our time away from the actual service, that means in order for us to continue to generate revenue and continue to generate more revenue, what has to happen to our price? Has to go up. Because if we've taken out services, our price needs to go up so that we can still fund everything else, okay? And now what we need to understand is we need to understand a couple things. The first thing that we need to understand is how many hours are we working? How many hours? And how much are we going to need to charge in order to break even? Now, what's really interesting about when I first started, guys, now if you guys have been following me for a while, maybe 3 years ago, we started the 4A Health Club. Okay, and the 4A Health Club was $19.99 a month. $19.99 a month. And I remember I used to advertise it as all you need to do is it costs as much as a Chipotle burrito to join the 4A Health Club. And we started growing, and people were joining, and it was awesome. We were putting stuff out there, and everything was good until I realized that I suck at sales. And because I sucked at sales, I was greatly limiting my ability to grow the business and to actually generate the revenue that I wanted to, and that was necessary to support my lifestyle, as well as ultimately grow the business. Because in the beginning, I was a good strength coach. I was an okay public speaker. But what I wasn't good at is marketing and sales and advertising and closing the deal and overcoming objections, all those really important things that have to do with sales, right? So in the beginning, I was putting myself in a really, really difficult spot because with this low price point, this low barrier to entry into my company, I had to sell a zillion things. But because I was bad at sales, I couldn't sell a zillion things. And now my business couldn't grow. And every month I was strapped for cash, like, crap, how am I gonna do this? 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 And it sucked because every time the first of the month came around, I was nervous. I was concerned. You know that math you do in your head when you're like, okay, am I gonna be able to do it? When is the bill due? Maybe I'll push it out a couple days or a couple weeks in order to do that. Maybe here comes, I can get a couple bucks by doing this, right? We go through this process just to make ends meet, but that is just making ends meet. There's no growth to our business. So we have to use our pricing to understand, like, what is the actual number, okay? So what I started doing was I started to understand what my schedule was, understand what my pricing needed to be, and I created a business that supported that, okay? So what I want you guys to understand is how much growth fuel, which is just money, I call it growth fuel because in terms of what we're doing here, it's growth fuel. It's not just money to go spend willy-nilly. How much growth fuel does your business need to grow? How much do you need to be putting into advertising? Do you know your numbers? Cost of acquiring a customer, your cost of goods sold, your overhead, your margins. Are you competent in these areas? If you're not, that is something that we need to work on right away so that you can understand it. Because what business ultimately is, guys, business is a game of structure, how you've set it up. Hint, hint, that's what we're talking about right here with pricing, your structure and your math. Hint, hint, that's what we're talking about with pricing and structure and business and numbers. So if you don't know your cost of acquire a customer, if you don't know the cost of goods sold, if you don't understand your pricing needs, if you don't understand your margins and what is required, hint, it's 80%, to grow your business, then how do you expect to grow your business? So considering your time requirements, think about this. Ask yourself this. How much revenue do you need to earn while keeping into consideration the amount of time that you're willing and able and wanting to put into the business? So with all that being said, how many clients can you reasonably serve? Now, guys, I know we're going into some depth here. We're talking about numbers. I know math makes people uncomfortable. I know the numbers makes people uncomfortable. I know it's scary to look at a bank account and look at your Stripe dashboard or wherever you're processing payments and realize, like, I just don't know what I'm doing, and it's nerve-wracking, and your numbers aren't making you pumped. But these are things that we have to know because this is how we're going to make decisions going forward. So understand your pricing, understand your numbers, understand your margins, all of these things. But for right now, just take note of that. What I want you to do right now to actually take some action on this, I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to figure out, what's your number? Now, when I say what's your number, What I want, the number that I'm referring to is, what do you need to live the life that you want? Right. And we can think about long-term goals. If you say 10 years, it's $1 million. It's this year, it's six figures, right? I would say that most people are probably in that zone where they're like, down the road, I'd like to make a couple 100,000 or $1 million or something like that. And then right now, I'd just like to get to six figures. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to have that security that I don't have to be nervous at the first of every month, whether or not I'm going to have to fold my business. Okay. So what I want you to know, let's do the first installment, the first 12 months this year. What's the number you need to live a great life, to live a lifestyle, to be able to do the time requirements and go do the things that you want to do? What's the number? And we can reverse engineer it from there. So we're going to take 60 seconds, and I want you to think about, starting now, what's the number that gets you to your goal? How much do you need to put into marketing reasonably? And guys, this might be vague in the beginning. If you don't know your numbers, it's not going to be right on. If you do know your numbers, pull them out, look at them. What's your number? Because once we have this number down, say it's 100,000, say it's 50,000, this will allow us to reverse engineer the entire process in order to create the business that we should create, so that you can wake up every day loving coming to work. About 15 more seconds, guys, about 15 more seconds. What is that number? Ten more seconds, 10 more seconds. Good. So if you didn't come up with a number, if you're not 100% sure, I truly advise you to bite the bullet and learn the numbers, figure it out, or just get something down on paper. If it's 100K, which is assuming why most people are in this group, the path from 0 to 100K, all we need to do is reverse engineer and figure out, what do we need to accomplish over the next 12 months, over the next 8 months, in order to hit that number. That's the game, guys. That's the game. Okay. And the final secret, the secret sauce to explosive, and I mean explosive. This is no BS. This is not some, clickbaity Facebook live ceremony that I'm doing here. This is the legitimate secret sauce to explosive revenue growth. Now, I want to teach this one to you through a little story. A couple of years ago, I went skiing for the first time. I'd never been skiing in my life, and I went with a couple of my buddies during the NBA All-Star break back when I worked for the Lakers. And there were a couple of my buddies from the Diamondbacks, and it really worked out. It was right before spring training, right during All-Star break. So they came out to LA, and what we were going to do is we were going to go skiing. So it was actually pretty cool. I lived on the beach in Hermosa Beach, California, and we drove up like 3 hours out into the mountains, went skiing, and came back to the beach during one day. Pretty wild experience. So we drive out to the mountains. We go up there, I get my skis, I get everything. We get up to the foot of the mountain, and I clip my skis in, and I didn't know how to clip my skis in the beginning. And you stick your toe in and you jam your heel down and it clicks right in. And I'm going to tell you, no less, no more than 3 minutes after clipping my skis in, for the first time in my life, I am on the lift, on the way to the top of the mountain, staring down at this monster cliff, not having any idea how to do it. My friends try to teach me pizza, right? And you turn your skis inwards and like push the snow out, and it slows you down. But when you're going full speed down that mountain, that ain't gonna stop you. So I'm standing up there on top of the cliff. It wasn't a cliff, but the slope, which is like crazy. I couldn't believe how steep it was. There's all these little kids whizzing by me, parents, moms, grandparents, all just easily going through this. And I was like, man, like this is crazy. And I would go a little bit and realize that I was getting out of control, and the pizza wasn't going to stop me if I went any faster. So I stopped, right? So I'm standing up there, and I was like, how am I going to get down this mountain? It's a long way down. So I figured what I was going to do is I was going to point my skis at a tree, right? And I was just going to go at the tree, like trying to do a mild slope. And if I couldn't stop, I'd grab onto the tree and stop. So that's what I did. I went from the right to the right side of the mountain, grabbed the tree and stopped. Left side of the mountain, grabbed the tree and stopped. And I did this over and over and over again. And after a little bit, I looked in, and I had barely gone anywhere, because I was basically going perpendicular to the slope. I wasn't going anywhere. There's no speed, and my friends were getting frustrated. I wasn't having any fun. So I eventually said to my friend, I said, look, if I just point my skis down the mountain, right, just go straight, At some point, is it going to level out and I'll just be able to stop by just coasting through? And he looks me dead in the eye and he says, Sean, absolutely. Absolutely, it's going to do that. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to do it. So he's pumped. So he goes down, he skis down the bottom, and he tells me he's going to take out his phone. He's going to film me as I go by. So I said, all right. So I get on my, so he gets all the way down the mountain. He's takes his phone out. He gives me the thumbs up, says we're ready to roll. Then I stand up, point my skis forward, and I'm off. And it takes me like 3 seconds to be completely out of control. I mean, I was going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour so fast down the mountain. And I'm approaching my buddy at full speed. And he's standing there, he's screaming, he's yelling. He's like, oh my God, you're so good. And I am terrified. I'm completely freaking out. I'm trying to do pizza. I can't stop. And all I can do is focus, stay athletic, and just keep going forward. Now, guys, this is a dangerous game. That was a dangerous example, but this is what business is about. Business is about just going for it, not knowing how to do it, not having the clarity. One of the reasons that everybody's so nervous about just going for it is because there's no certainty in the game. There's no clarity. Like, I know so many of you out there right now are saying, Sean, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I just don't know what it takes. I don't know if this is the right thing. I know I need to advertise, but how do I know by doing it this way is actually going to work? I know I need to do blogging. I know I need to have a website. I know I need to have a landing page. I know I need to post more, but I don't know that it's going to work. And here's the thing about business is that we never know if it's going to work. Business is a series of leaps of faith. We figure it out as we go. There is no certainty in this game because typically what you're doing is you're trying to go someplace that you've never been. And for a lot of us who are creating breakthrough technology or creating breakthrough services that have never been created before, we're going to a place that nobody's ever been. And in order to go to a place that nobody's ever been, you have to do things that have never been done. And in order to do you think Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 with a whole heck of a lot of certainty? Do you think George Washington went into battle with a whole heck of a lot of certainty? But these heroes, do you think Jeff Bezos left his hedge fund or Wall Street, cushy Wall Street job to start Amazon to sell books on the internet before the internet was a thing? Do you think he had a ton of certainty? But these heroes, these successful people, the people who have accomplished what you're trying to accomplish, have done it by just pointing their skis down the mountain and just going and figuring it out. And guess what? The second time I went down that mountain, the third time I went down the mountain, and every time I've gone skiing since, I've been pretty damn good. I know how to stop. I know how to turn. I know how to go down different types of slopes. Can't do moguls yet. That's pretty ridiculous. I don't know how anybody does that. Okay. But when you just point your skis down, you learn on the fly and you figure it out and you just go for it, you learn so much along the way. So what I want you guys to start thinking about is if you were an outsider looking at your business, what would you say is missing? It's easy for us to watch Shark Tank. It's easy for us to watch The Profit on CNBC and pick apart other people's business. But what if you were looking at your own business from a third-party perspective? What would you say is missing? And then if you were on Shark Tank, if you were watching yourself on Shark Tank, would you ask yourself, why haven't you addressed that yet? Why haven't you just done that? And I want you to ask yourself, for those things that are missing, why haven't you addressed it yet? I want you to ask yourself, are you the bottleneck of your business? Is the bottleneck of your business between your ears? Is it just your mind? One of the coolest stories I ever heard was somebody telling stories about philosophies, was talking about how money is just a random collection of symbols. So many people are hung up on the financial requirements of growing a business, the financial requirements of paying somebody, buying a skill, hiring a coach, taking a seminar. We're so hung up on the cost that we're not weighing the benefit. Tony Robbins has a course that's $10,000, a business course that's $10,000. And he has $1 million guarantee. You're an idiot if you don't take that course. Because if you can learn just $10,000 and $1 on top of that, it's worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth your energy. And you're telling me if you spend 5 days learning from Tony Robbins, you can't create $10,000. Well, how many clients is that? One new client? You can't generate 10 more thousands of dollars. You got to get away from thinking about the cost of these things and those fear. If money, guys, money is simply just a random series of numbers and symbols. Are you holding your money in a shoebox? It just changes on a website or on an app. If you do it right, if you do your homework, if you actually do your due diligence to pick the investments and the vehicles and the things that you need to do in order to actually grow the business, not worry about the cost. Did you know that credit cards allow you to pay for something and pay it back for 30 days over the course or without any interest? Do you know how great of a scaling opportunity that is for you and your business? Do you know how much money and capital you have access to that you don't even realize because you're scared? And that's okay. That's normal. That's human. I've been there. We've all been there. But if you want to have explosive growth in your business, if you want to have that revenue, if you want to figure that out, guys, the moment I figured this out was when I hired my first coach. I think it was $5,000. I maybe had $1,000 in my bank account, but I knew that I didn't know something, that person knew something that I didn't know, and I had to figure it out. And I knew that if he was right and he wasn't BSing me, and I did my homework, I did my due diligence, I knew if he wasn't BSing me, that he could actually produce $5,000 and at least one more extra dollar. And off of that one coaching experiment that I did, I probably made 100K in my first year. Afterwards, probably during the program alone, I probably made about 50. And I haven't looked back since. And now I'm constantly saying, like, who else can I learn from? Who else has these skills? Who can teach me how to make $1 million? Who can make me how to make 10 million? Who can make me a billionaire? Like, who can I buy these skills from? Because once you get over those fears, those hurdles, those challenges, those things that are just myths inside of your own head, the quicker you can get to where you want to be. So guys, actually, before we do that, I want you to list out, I want you to take 60 seconds. This is the last thing that we're going to do. And I want you to take 60 seconds to think about what are the fears that are currently holding you back. All right, let's get that started right now. 60 seconds. 60 seconds, guys. 60 seconds. Pause the video if you need to and really think about this. What are the things that are holding you back? What are the fears? Is it financial? Are you afraid of what other people might say about you? Are you afraid about not getting enough likes on Instagram when you post? Getting no viewers on your Facebook Lives? What are the fears that are stopping you from doing the things that you know will grow your business? Halfway there, halfway there. Halfway, guys. Almost there. About 10 more seconds. All right, that's good. And I really encourage you guys to go back and fill out that list a little bit more and really do some thinking on this because it's so, so important. Guys, I appreciate you being here with me. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below and I'll be happy to answer them and chat however we need to. And if you guys want help through this process, you guys know where to reach me. You can send me a message here. You can shoot me a comment. You can find me on Instagram. You can email me at slight@4ahps.com, or you can just go straight to 4acoaching.com and we can help you through this process. Every single one of our clients, we work them through all of these. The first thing we want to look at is, do you have the time? Are you charging enough money? Is your service worthy of that cost? And then, what are the fears we need to overcome? What are the things that are really psychologically holding you back? One of the first things that you'll get access to as a member of the 4A coaching program is our business psychology course, because business itself, guys, is a game of psychology. It's not a game of tactics. You know the tactics. You know you need to post more. You know you need to advertise, but it's the psychology that's keeping you from doing that. And those are the things that are really important. Those are the things that actually move the needle. We can teach you tactics and strategies all day, which we certainly will. But when we talk about psychology and figuring out how to not be the bottleneck in your business and explode forward, take that actual quantum leap, that's the stuff that actually moves the needle. That's the stuff that allows you to have your time back, that allows you to do the things and live life on your own terms, do the fun things and the other things outside of strength and conditioning and fitness and physical therapy and chiropractic and everything that you guys are doing. It allows you to do all of that stuff and have the freedom to do so. It allows you to charge what you're actually worth, and allows you to live with freedom, with security, with confidence. And that's what the 4A coaching program is designed to do. So if you guys really want to jump onto that path from 0 to 100K, 4acoaching.com, book a call right there or shoot me a message. You know where to find me. Be happy to chat. And guys, have a wonderful day. Let's talk soon.